it's been a while since we were able to talk about our good friend Peter. Peter took some time off. He was waiting for Trump's social media site to go live. However, it turns out the date he was waiting for was not the official date. It was a placeholder date. And now they're saying it's going to open in like March or at the end of March or something. So Peter decided to show back up, and let's take a look at what he has to say. Fun fact, in this video he mentions how much money he's claiming he has put into this project, this YouTube channel. I want people to guess. In the chat, I just want to guess, how much money do you think Peter is claiming he has put into this project, this YouTube channel? Bear in mind he has 2,000 subscribers, okay? 2,000 subscribers. So I'm seeing a lot of guesses. I'll have you know some of you are correct. I'm not going to tell you who it is. We're just going to watch the video. But some of you have the correct answer. Some of you may have watched this video, in fairness. I don't know. But let's take a look. Now, I don't want to do a poll, because that would be multiple choice. Let me actually do something. Let me figure out how much this comes out per subscriber for him. Okay. Tucker White says somewhere between none and Jeff Bezos money. You're not wrong. Anyway, let's go ahead and take a listen to Peter's newest presentation.
What time is it? It's time to straighten out what's been happening.
Ooh, why is it all freezy? Peter, no! Is the deep state trying to stop us from getting Peter's message?
What time is
There it
it?
is.
It's time to straighten out what's been happening in our country. According to who? According to Trump. That's what he said. He also said he has a plan that's going to make people very, very happy.
The plan that we're on now, and I think a plan that's going to make people very, very happy.
A plan to save America. And then you...
Remember when Peter said that if Trump didn't get into power in 2021, then the country was doomed, and then you just forgot he ever said that? Under Thunder, thanks for subscribing. Appreciate it. Tucker White says a smarter Hannah would have charged us rubes for that ASMR. Hey, I never said I was smart.
You have Durham, who's going full speed ahead. Wow, so many exciting things are happening, and I'm so glad to be back and making this video because I wanted to share all this exciting stuff with you guys, because with True Social coming around the corner and so many amazing things happening, I think it's time to be pumped, optimistic, and excited for the future. My name is Peter Hanna. I'm the optimistic Trump supporter, and it's time to dive in. So I'm going to start with a
Holy jump cut, Batman.
clip from the interview where he
Peter, you owe me a bullet crown. Where's my bullet crown? That's legally binding. You're gonna get served. That's a joke. I'm not actually gonna sue you. That's a joke. It's a joke. It's a joke.
recently said 2 days ago that he has a plan that's going to save America, and it's a plan that's going to make people very, very, very happy. So I'm going to show you the clip, and we're going to talk about it. Here's the clip.
Why can't, after we win back the House, you become Speaker of the House, even for a short period, just until we can open investigations against Biden and the Biden crime family?
That's an interesting thing to say to someone who is currently under investigation by multiple parties in various parts of the government, whether it's New York's government, whether it's, like, Congress investigating him for his involvement in January 6th. Weird thing to say. But also, I think the worst thing they could possibly do for their own fascist cause is to put Donald Trump in charge of anything, because I don't know if you know anything about Donald Trump. He's bad at his jobs. He's bad at getting things done. He basically just wants to tweet and yell about things. That's all he does. He's not productive, even towards evil causes. He's not really productive. I'm just saying. Mike says, Hannah, you only get your bullet crown when Trump wins the 2020 election. That's the opposite of the bet he and I made. I believe Peter's bet was that, like, if Trump isn't in office by the end of 2021, then he owed me a bullet crown or something. It was something like that. Either way, the date has definitely passed.
Well, I think a lot of things are happening, and a lot of very positive things are happening.
Donald Trump sounds older. I mean, I know literally by definition he's older, but his voice sounds worse than it did even just like a year ago. Did he take up smoking or something? What's going on?
And, you know, when you look into the future, and that was your idea. I heard it from you first. I don't know. It certainly has been going around. And frankly, I hope we don't need it, because what should happen is what the plan that we're on now, and I think a plan that's going to make people very, very happy, we'll be announcing sometime later. And that's really what should happen.
Ah, yes, the very famous plan that we will reveal some time later that definitely exists. Genius.
But we will, you know, we got to make America great again.
What do you think, guys? This is very exciting because when my channel was getting 1 million views a month, and there are like 1 million users.
By the way, I'm wondering if some of the money Peter put into this, that he's going to say a specific number later, which I was talking about, I'm wondering if he bought a really, really expensive camera. Because, like, say what you will about Peter, his content's terrible, but look at that crisp fucking picture. I can see every pore on his face. Now, in fairness, I don't think you can see this very well on my stream, just because it's a live stream, so, you know, some of the details lost. But this is in 4K. I can see the individual pores and individual pieces of hair on this man's head. Why did he spend so much on a camera, Peter? Peter, my camera is like a $70 Razer webcam with a ring light, and I have almost 15,000 YouTube subscribers, and you bought like I don't even know how much you spent on this 4K camera, and you only have 2,000 subscribers. The camera's great. Not the most important thing. Just saying.
Seeing my channel before, you know, got taken down by YouTube when it had like almost 40,000 subscribers, a lot of those views were coming from Democrats who thought I was either trolling Republicans or I was completely delusional to think that Trump has some type of plan to save America. But now it is confirmed. I mean, I knew it all along, but now it's like when Democrats make fun of me, I'm like, hey, guys, this is not something I made up. I'm not delusional. Trump has said recently
if you have to spend most of your time telling people you're not delusional, kind of says something, doesn't it? Either way, Peter, Trump saying he has a plan does not mean it is a plan to save America or any of the QAnon stuff you believe in. He wants to get back into power, or at least pretend to get back into power in the way of, like, running for another election in order to get money from people like you. Don't get me wrong, if Trump could be president again tomorrow, would he? I think he probably would. I think he profited a lot off the presidency through a lot of unscrupulous and illegal means. Either way, that doesn't mean he's here to save you, Peter. We've explained this multiple times. Donald Trump is not a good person. Donald Trump does not care about you. Donald Trump is not involved with aliens and QAnon and all this other bullshit you believe in. He just isn't. Please move on with your life, Peter. Are you going to be doing this when you're 40, when you're 50, long after Trump is dead? What are you going to do with the rest of your life, Peter? What are you going to do? J Lost says, good camera does not equal good content. Agreed.
Does have a plan to save America. Now, in the context of what he was saying and what the whole conversation was, context is important because sometimes stuff gets taken out of context. So this guy apparently came up with this idea of Trump becoming the House Speaker this year and then looking into the crimes of the criminals and stuff like that.
That doesn't even, again, I know I made a joke about this earlier, but that doesn't make sense as a plan for me. Let's say the Republicans take back the House, which they may. Please vote in the midterms and vote for Democrats. I know you might be mad about it, but being mad about Democrats is not a reason to throw away our democracy. Please, for the love of God. We'll talk about that closer to the midterms. Anyway, why would you want Donald Trump to be the Speaker of the House unless your immediate intent was to impeach the president, which they wouldn't be able to do if the Democrats hold the Senate. Who knows what's going to happen, though, but you would still need a supermajority to actually remove the president from office, and then vice president move up, and then appoint. Whatever. You get it. I've heard basically conspiracy theories where they want to put Trump somewhere in the chain of succession for the presidency so they can, through their powers in Congress, get him back up to presidency constitutionally. I don't understand why you would just want him as the Speaker of the House, though. That's not good, especially for, like, my mic went fucky. Is it still bad? Hold on. Hello, hello. Is it bad for anyone else? Let me know in the chat. I'll try and fix it if something's wrong. No? Other people say it sounds normal? Might just be you then. Okay. Where was I? Oh, the worst thing the Republicans could do for 2024 is to put Trump back in the spotlight during 2022 and all that. Like, nothing has happened better for Democrats getting people to go out to vote than Donald Trump. If Donald Trump is involved heavily in 22 and 24, it's going to get Democrats and people who hate Trump to go out and vote. I'm just saying.
And it kind of went viral. And then he interviewed Trump afterward. And he's like, hey, what do you think of this plan? You can become House Speaker when we take the House this year. And then you can go after these criminals. And he basically said, like, you know, I do have a plan. And that's the plan we're going to go forward with. And it's a great plan. And it's going to make people very...
Remember when Trump had a plan to do a bunch of lawsuits about the election? And then he had a plan to incite his supporters to storm the Capitol? And he had plans to try and send fake electors to the Electoral College vote, and then none of it worked? What a good plan, guy. KBS 666 says, the plan is to impeach Biden and Harris together and to magically convict them in the Senate. Voila, Trump is president. Viola. Zarek Shadow says, Republicans won in Virginia partially because their candidate distanced himself from Trump.
Very, very, very happy. And then a little bit later in the interview, he says, you're going to see some very interesting things happening soon. So I'm very excited. You know, people don't wonder, why is Peter so optimistic? Because
you're crazy. Cryptic Clover says, I wonder what Peter is going to say if Trump actually does get reelected. Like if Trump, for all appearances to Peter, actually waits for the formal election cycle to be officially reinstated. I can already tell you what his goalpost will be because he's kind of paid lip service to this idea previously. He will say, well, Biden was never really in charge. That was either a fake Biden or they let Biden in but didn't really let him do anything in order to show people how bad things would really be under the Democrats. Now that they got a taste of how evil the Democrats are, even though we've had plenty of Democratic presidents in the past, Peter's going to say, now Trump's back in, and now he's really gonna do his job now that everyone's on his side, even though most people still wouldn't be on his side. How's my bullet crown? I don't know. Peter hasn't sent it, because he apparently doesn't like to stand up for the promises and wagers he makes. What a shame. Rosalind Faye with 100 bits says, not crazy necessarily, just hella brainwashed.
I get my optimism from Trump. If he was not optimistic, I wouldn't be. And he's been consistently optimistic the entire time since he left the presidency all the way until...
Can I, like, buy a bullet crown somewhere? Hold on. Bullet crown. Can I buy one? See, this is what bothers me. If I could just buy a bullet crown, like, on Etsy, I wouldn't have an issue. I could make irresponsible Etsy purchases and buy bullet crowns. I would do that. But I can't. I can't find it anywhere. So I won the bet against Peter so I could get the tacky, ugly bullet crown. And yet here I am. Bullet crownless. Look at this. Look at how ugly this is. I just want it. I just want one. Is that too much to ask?
Until now.
Wait, did someone find one? They're crystal bullets. Why are they're like crystals in bullet casings? What the fuck? I'll take a look at it. That's way overpriced though. They literally just wired, it looks like they glued little crystals into bullet casings and then just wired them to a headband. And it's $94. That's a ridiculous expense. Tucker White says, of course Trump's optimistic. He's a rich mother F. He'll never deal with this shit the rest of us get effed by. Logarth says, Hannah's crown, reloaded. Yeah, that's not worth $94, but I don't know. Ask the birthday elf for a bullet crown and maybe he'll get one this year. Yeah, I will have to. My birthday is coming up. It's March 12th. Everyone, get me a present. KR Goss says, can I make you a flower crown with bullets for your wedding? I wouldn't wear it to the wedding.
Super optimistic. So this is a very exciting message. And for all the making fun of people like me or conservatives, Republicans, Trump supporters for believing that Trump does have a plan to save America, it is now in word. It is in video. It's been immortalized. He does have a plan. His own words, and the plans in his own words will make people very, very happy. It sounds like he's very confident in this plan. So I'm super excited about that. Also, there's a lot of hype around Truth Social, and he mentioned his Truth Social.
Peter, that Telegram account is not actually Donald Trump. It's not Donald Trump. Morok says, I think this is how Stream Boss works. Let's see. Indeed, you're now the Stream Boss. Another hydrate. Logarth says, also, of course bullet crowns are expensive as hell. Have you seen the price of ammo recently? I haven't. I never have seen the price of ammo. You could honestly... You know how unfamiliar I am with the price of ammo? I don't know if a box of, like, ammo... First of all, I don't know what the denominations ammo comes in. Second of all, if you asked me how much a box of ammo costs, I don't know if it's $10 or $50. I have no idea how much ammunition costs. And I know it's going to vary depending on the caliber, but, like, I have no idea. Marcus Drake says, sounds like he's very confident. Yes, Peter, that's why they call them confidence men. J. Law says, Trump's plan is to improvise as he goes along.
Website, and he said that it's time to straighten out what's
How much could a banana bullet cost? $10?
been happening in our country. That's super exciting, and I love how he combined it with the message of Truth Social. He was saying, basically Facebook stock plunged, and then he's like, well, it's going down because people are waiting for the truth.
Facebook stock went down because their users are down for the first time ever, because they're an evil corporation that everyone hates because they spread misinformation, and the only people on it anymore are people's boomer conspiracy uncles. That's funny, too. It's funny the idea that Facebook hasn't helped Donald Trump when their primary user base now are people who tend to, and I'm not saying everyone, but demographically speaking, the people who still use Facebook regularly tend to be older people between like 40 and up, maybe 35 and up, who are more into right-wing politics and conspiracy theories. Tons of QAnon stuff spread on Facebook that helped it spread.
Truth Social. And so this post was about Truth Social, and then he says, time to straighten out what's been happening in our country. So it sounds like to me, and I want to know what you think in the comment section, but it sounds like to me, Truth Social is really a turning point in history. When it gets released at the end of March, we don't have the exact date, but it'll be the end of March, we will see a shift in tides that nobody can deny, because once you load a website like Truth Social with a bunch of truths, now we can counter narrative way more effectively than ever before. And that Truth Social will become the biggest truth website in the world. And also, it's going to become a critical tool for the Great Awakening, awakening people up to the truth and reality of what's going on. So
that website is going to be Mos Eisley. It's going to be a hive of scum and villainy. It's going to be... On the one hand, it's going to be really, really good for the show. I imagine if it opens and actually has any sort of user base. Though, frankly, I imagine that initially, at least, it's going to get flooded with furry pornography, which is very funny. And honestly, there are furries in my audience. If you're not there day one, doing your part and posting the lewdest furry pornography you possibly can to Trump's social media site, are you even a furry? What are you doing? Anyway, if it does have an audience and it does actually have a sustainable user base, on the one hand, it's going to be good for the show. It'll probably have a lot of conspiracy content that I can then siphon and, use for this show for entertainment and educational purposes, but on the other hand, it will be effectively a conspiracy theory super spreader site where the kind of people who are already predisposed to believing this kind of stuff, people like Peter, and then basically put them in an environment with no reasonable censorship that's going to allow them to be sold bullshit on a daily basis directly from mouthpieces of Donald Trump. And that's not a good thing if you don't like fascism. So that's not good. But, you know, good content for the channel. Rosalind Faye says, that's why I commie post on Facebook. Memes will save us all. Adia Blue says, I have 2 words for you. Inflation vor. Wasn't Frank's speech going to be the best? Frank's speech, I think everyone knew was going to be a joke from day one because it was being produced by a pillow salesman in a short period of time. This is also a relatively short period of time for trying to build a competitor to Facebook or Twitter or YouTube. But Donald Trump, even though we don't like him, has the resources and human capital in order to actually create a social media site. Will it be a good one with reasonable functionality? Absolutely not. I don't think it will. I don't even think it'll necessarily be well built. But if Donald Trump actually puts his name on this and says, this is my social media site, get on it, he has a built-in fan base that will sustain that site no matter how bad it is. So I understand the instinct to laugh at this, and it is funny, but at the same time, recognize that if this site does get off the ground, it is actually a threat to discourse everywhere, basically. It's going to be a place where the mouthpieces of Donald Trump supporters are going to spread baseless conspiracy theories, and only baseless conspiracy theories all the time. If you think your QAnon or right-wing MAGA relatives are already in an echo chamber on Facebook, can you imagine a site actually run by Trump and his supporters and how bad that'll be? Yeah.
I'm very excited about that.
How's Frank's speech doing now? Bad. Also, Mike Lindell is having his bank accounts shut down because they don't want to be affiliated with him anymore. So that's fun. KBS says, last anyone saw it was just one of the freeware social platforms, a Twitter clone if I remember correctly, with some stuff turned off. That'll be enough for people if they can handle the load of users. Tucker White says, can't wait for Trump book or whatever they call it launches. It's going to be spammed with gay porn, and possibly interracial. Nick says, people will willingly give their info to Daddy Trump if they want to say the N-word without getting banned. Audis Noir says, the most amusing thing to me about all these right-wing alternative social media sites is that their security is constantly dog shit. I'm not going to say that, just because, you shouldn't wish ill on people, even if you think they deserve it. Morally speaking. I guess it depends on what philosopher you're quoting on that one. But I don't know. The philosopher known as Twitch TOS says, not cool, though.
I love how he says in that post, it's time to straighten out what's been happening in our country. It sounds like, hasta la vista, baby. You know, when...
Did I hear Mike Pillow got stopped at the Canadian border? He tried to go support the Freedom Convoy, spelled F-R-E-E-D-U-M-B, and stopped because of COVID restrictions. The irony. What did he think was going to happen?
Arnold Schwarzenegger says that, like, he loads his gun. All right, hasta la vista. I'm going to beat you. I'm going to, you know.
That's a great Schwarzenegger impression. Can we hear that again, honestly?
He loads his gun. All right, hasta la vista. I'm going to beat you. I'm going to, you know, destroy you. Because, you know, Truth Social isn't.
Remember when Arnold said in the movie, hasta la vista, I'm going to beat you. I will destroy you. What a good movie.
An information weapon is information tool that, when loaded with ammo, with memes, with truth, with videos that cannot be taken down without being censored and shot all over the internet so that people come to Truth Social and they start learning all this information, it's going to be so easy to counter the narrative. And now I saw recently a post where
Best and worst Arnold movie. Best, Total Recall. I like Paul Verhoeven. And worst, worst is probably Junior. That's fair. I'm gonna say Junior's the worst.
Where there was the
Best Arnold Schwarzenegger comedy. Twins.
mainstream media, fake news media in Canada, and they had posted some type of fake narrative, or they were saying some type of lie. And then a nurse came out on YouTube, and she explained her side of the story, which completely countered the narrative. And so the mainstream media...
Is this Jingle All the Way erasure? No, I saw Jingle All the Way as recently as, like, December. It's not the worst. It's certainly not the best. It's in there, though. T2 is great, dude. T2 is great, but it's in a series, and I think you gotta weight that along with the other Terminator movies that he's in. I think Total Recall is the best standalone movie that he's in.
YouTube channel had like over 1 million subscribers, and this lady didn't have many subscribers, but she got 500,000 views and like thousands and thousands of likes. And
Peter, you're speaking into the void, though. It's an echo chamber of other anti-vax conspiracy theorists. You're not really gaining new people. Did I hear... speaking of which, one of the shady fundraising sites for the truckers got hacked and everyone who donated got doxxed. I heard about that. Stromboli says, worst Arnold movie is Hercules and Manhattan, and the best is Twins purely because of Danny DeVito. Changed my mind. Logarth says, it's not a Terminator! 3 out of 10. Hercules in New York was Arnold's first movie, I think. Wait, was that before or after Pumping Iron? Either way, Pumping Iron was a documentary, so it was his first scripted film. It's bad. I've seen it. Tucker White says, gotta play it now. Okay.
Cookies! Put that cookie
down!
Now!
Now! Yeah.
Mainstream media, famous Canadian mainstream media YouTube channel got 10,000 views. So they...
Wait, who watches mainstream news on YouTube? If someone wants to watch, like, CNN, for instance, they watch it on TV. They don't watch it on YouTube. The main audience of CNN is, like, Gen X and boomers.
They can try to push a narrative.
Or MSNBC or Fox. Like, I don't get my news from those places. I get it online, and not from those people.
They can try to say certain things, but the truth comes out eventually. You know, this nurse came out, she counted the narrative. I'm not sure exactly what it was about. But the point is that they cannot control the narrative anymore because we are the news now. We are the reporters, we're the journalists, we're the researchers, and no matter what they say, we've proven we can successfully counter their narrative, expose the truth, and win this. And we've been able to accomplish all this, including, you know, basically demolishing this whole narrative of everything that's going on, if you know what I mean. And we were able to do it without Truth Social. Imagine what happens once we have Truth Social at our disposal. It's going to be a very, very important tool for waking everyone up.
I'm curious the business model for Truth Social, considering the main avenue of income sources for social media sites are two things, kind of two-pronged. Firstly, advertisement, right? When you go on Facebook or Twitter or whatever, if you don't have an ad blocker, or even if you do sometimes, they figure out ways to get around the ad blocker, they serve you ads. Ads that are typically based upon things that they have gathered from your profile, so they can target it demographically towards you. So if your profile says, you know, you're a woman between a certain age, and you live in a certain area, they'll target you for ads for products that might suit your demographic or whatever that corporations decide you're a part of. I think that's not going to be the main source of income, however, because, again, if you look at sort of right-wing places, typically large corporations don't like to put their name on that kind of stuff, at least not the extreme stuff, because it looks really, really bad for them, and then they get boycotts and all sorts of other stuff. Or they get what the right would call canceled or whatever. The other main source of income is selling user data. That, I think, if anything, will probably be the major source of income for Truth Social. They're probably gonna take up people's emails and phone numbers and demographic information and then sell it to shady people and potentially political campaigns in order to make money. How profitable will that be? I don't know. I imagine the ads will mostly be like buy gold and these scam things, like on a lot of other right-wing sites, buy our supplements, buy our stuff. But I don't think that'll be the big money maker. It'll be, here are a bunch of rabid, crazy right-wing Trump supporters, buy our email list, and they'll probably donate to your right-wing campaign. Let's see. Thrash Mio says, fun quizzes to harvest data to sell as well. True. Morok says, I'm getting ads for something called 9 Chronicles. The art looks like a cheap Final Fantasy knockoff, but what catches my eye is the tagline, the first blockchain MMORPG. Gross. Tucker White says, I sometimes watch CNBC videos on YouTube, but it's largely featured stories on shit that interests me. Aside from that, I hardly ever watch news outside of alts like Kyle Kalinske and David Pakman.
And that is going to be, once it comes out, that is really going to be the time to straighten out what's been happening in our country. I think that's how I interpret that post. He's like, okay, he's scaring the deep state. He's like, guys, truth is coming.
Deep state on the bingo card. Also, Peter, the deep state isn't a real thing. It's a boogeyman that they make up in order to make you think that boring government bureaucrats are evil Satanists. Logarth says, our records show the warranty on your democracy is expired or your service agreements may have lapsed. Stay on the line if you wish to support our president, Donald Trump.
Truth is coming. Truth Social is coming. And when that happens, we're going to straighten out this country. That is what
That's fashy.
Truth Social is about. That is what Trump is saying in this post, that this Truth Social is pivotal. It's big. It's super important. I cannot, put it in alter enough, because this will become one of the biggest websites in the world. It'll become the most important website ever created. Maybe the most important
More important than Wikipedia? Kind of doubt that.
It'll become the most important website ever created. Maybe the most important company ever created. This Trump company.
In history. Wow. Okay. No.
Because this gives Trump so much power. He already has a ton of power, but this gives him immense power, and it gives us a lot of power too, so that we can finally spread the truth. I'm so excited for Truth Social. I'm going to be posting health videos and optimistic videos and a bunch of content there that
I do like that Peter does think that Trump is working with aliens and has literal, spaceships at his disposal. Peter believes that the Space Force is under the command of Donald Trump and that they actually have, X-Wings and, that kind of stuff. But a social media site gives him more power than that, apparently. Kind of surprising. I would think a moon base would give you more power, but what do I know? Jay Lost says, why not just put some brainwashing serum in the med beds? Is there a bingo card today? There is. Here's a link. Sorry, the bot's been broken. Logarth says, please, Donald Trump barely has power over his bowels. He's DJing at a Mar-a-Lago's over 60 singles night.
That I haven't been able to post on YouTube because, you know why. So...
Because you consistently break YouTube TOS? Because you want to spread anti-vax bullshit and medical misinformation to your followers on a consistent basis? That's probably why.
I'm very excited about it, and I think you guys should be very excited too. Unfortunately, there was a bit of a delay here, and that is concerning. Define delay. I mean,
coming out later than expected.
All they said was that Truth Social should be released in the first quarter, which ends when March ends, right? On Apple's App Store, you could pre-order the Truth Social app, and it said it was going to arrive on February 21st. Now, there has been no public announcement, so all the mainstream media said, it's going to be released on February 21st, and then when Devin Nunes came out, he's the CEO of Truth Social, and he came out and said, actually, we're going to release it at the end of March. They're like, it's been delayed, It hasn't been delayed. There was no official announcement.
Peter, even you said it was going to come out in February 20 whatever. I understand that there was no public announcement to my understanding, but I get the feeling that they wanted to push it out in the middle of February and something happened. Which happens, you know? Whether it was this website or some other website that I didn't think was bad, yeah, stuff will happen. But it wouldn't surprise me considering this company is being run by a bunch of older people who probably aren't the most tech-savvy people in the world. I imagine they're pushing whoever they're paying to do the actual web design and engineering on their site more than is reasonable because they don't understand the technology and they're trying to give them deadlines that are probably unreasonable for what they're trying to do. Probably don't understand the concept of server load, and like how much money and time and expense it's going to take to run servers to run a site as big as they want. But who knows? I guess we'll see at the end of March, whenever this thing is supposed to come out. Tucker White says, so what extra, quote, power, unquote, does Truth Social give Trump that he doesn't have already? Just an FYI, too many White House beat writers to court post a screenshot of his press releases on Twitter, like effing stenographers. I know, a lot of people post his stuff anyway. I think the idea here is that it would concentrate his followers in one place and give him a direct mouthpiece to them without having to depend upon third parties to repost his statements. Pardon the Confetti says, but are the aliens ready for our wet-ass mouths? P-Meal says, do you think Peter tries to wish things into reality with his predictions? I don't think he thinks he's doing that, but on some level, yeah, maybe. I don't know, though.
When it was going to be released, and now there is. So, you know, a lot of people are being like, your website was delayed, True Soul's been delayed. You know, the Democrats, people are making fun of me in the comment section. But the fact is, it hasn't been delayed. That was a placeholder date on the Apple Store, Apple App Store. So that's not like moving the date. But, you know, to be honest, I was pretty excited. And I saw that date and was like, oh, I hope True Social comes out on February 21st. But anyway, there's a delay. It doesn't matter. Because when it does...
Innocuous Blonde, thanks for 4 months, says, oh boy, catching a Peter installment. Yay for 4 months. Well, thank you very much for showing up.
We're gonna win, win, win. So one last super exciting news. If you go to Trump's Telegram page, which is one of the most...
Not actually Trump's Telegram.
Amazing places to get information about what's going on. He said recently, I mean today, it's his latest post, that I can't get into the details because it's YouTube, but anyway, basically what he says in that post is that Durham is going after Hillary Clinton and a bunch of all these people for these crimes. So, you know, Durham's going after the Bidens, the Obamas, the Clintons, like a lot of high-profile people, and he's just getting started. And so this is very, very exciting to see that a whole bunch of people are going to be... Who knows what's going to happen to them, but Durham's going after them, and this is happening around the time that Truth Social is going to be released, and then once all this stuff comes out of what's the crimes from these people and Durham going after them, it's like it's all going to be talked about on Truth Social. So Truth Social.
Spokane Cisco says, did I see the tweets about Matt Walsh? Specifically, I don't know. Was it the thing where he was trying to convince trans people to be part of his documentary, air quotes, without disclosing what it actually was, or was it something else?
It's like a magnifying glass. It's gonna magnify the truth and just allow it to be spread exponentially to the point where they cannot continue to just say whatever they want in mainstream media and then think we're gonna believe it, because no matter how much...
KBS says, Durham is almost certainly about to get shut down. The, quote, indictment he filed was filled with misstatements. I guess I didn't see that. Gimpvet says, Hannah, you know Peter better than most in here. Do you think he still has blips of sanity where contradictions don't click and he sees it briefly but goes on? Or do you think he's even past that and his mind has fully constructed a new reality which operates on false logic to fit his narrative? That's actually a good question. I am by no means qualified to say, but this is Twitch, so I'll do it anyway. This is only my opinion. I would imagine at this point Peter is... I think he's trained himself, and he was already trained to do this based on the fact that he was raised in the kind of Mooney gun cult thing, where cognitive dissonance, I'd imagine, is kind of a way of life. If you're in any super fundamentalist religion, you get really well trained in contorting your thoughts into making things make sense to you, even if they don't actually make sense and they're not internally consistent. And certainly, especially, even if they don't make sense compared to the outside world. The outside world is irrelevant compared to whatever particular dogma you have decided to stick to, whether it's fundamentalist religion, or in this case, a hardcore conspiracy theory like QAnon. I think at this point, Peter has trained himself enough that even if he has an inkling of a thought of, why does this thing not make sense? His automatic response, without even thinking about it, is it basically pings right off it and ricochets back into, well, no, here's a justification for that. I don't think any part of him is willing to even consider that he is wrong at this point. He has literally spent years of his life and a lot of money, which he's going to get into soon on this. It's a sunk cost fallacy. At this point, if he were to admit that this is all bullshit, then he has admitted that he has sunk his entire identity and a good portion of money into this nonsense just because he is gullible. And that's a huge hit to anyone. In particular, Peter, who doesn't even have, like, a day job, which I'm not, whatever, he's a stay-at-home dad, that's fine. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that. But this has become his identity. If he admits this is wrong, then to him, it feels like a reflection on himself. And it feels like, oh, well, what am I now? Again, speculation. I just don't think he'll ever be able to admit he was wrong at this point. KBS says he claimed the IT consultant was providing DNS info from Trump White House, but the IT consultant only had access to the White House during the Obama administration, so Durham misstated when the IT consultant had access to the White House. That's not good. Tucker White says, off topic, I went to Telegram recently and was disappointed to discover it's not a social media site, but built around talking in Morse code. Ha. Gimpvet says, in the end, he doesn't need a med bed, he needs a cryo chamber. Sad reality.
How much they lie, how much they push it from every angle, from YouTube and Wikipedia and Twitter and fake news media. No matter how hard they try to push it, True Social will stand as a huge light, a beam of awakening that will enlighten everyone in the world eventually. I mean,
the fantasy of QAnons believing that it's just going to take, like, one day and the truth will come out and then everyone who was a naysayer will get on their side is one of the most interesting parts of the conspiracy to me. Because it's a fantasy that not only involves getting retribution on your perceived enemies via violence, but also involves everyone who told you you're wrong, you're delusional, this is a conspiracy theory, you're crazy, you're just outright evil, whatever it happens to be. It involves a moment of I told you so, where you get to go up to those people and be like, see, I was right all along, and they drop to their knees and say, we're so sorry. It's incredibly narcissistic as a fantasy. It's very interesting. And I think it attracts a certain kind of person, if I'm being entirely honest. Tucker White says, can you imagine building your entire life around a person or group? Hides Tennessee Volunteers merch.
hopefully everyone. It's been said that 5% of people.
But what if we're the ones who are wrong? Then I would say, wow, you should have provided better evidence. I know you're being facetious. I know you don't think we're the ones that are wrong. But again, it would come down to, wow, the evidence is really bad then.
Will never be able to.
You want Peter to get help? I do too. I think Peter could definitely use help.
To wake up, they'll just be brainwashed forever. But I like to think that one day we will all be awakened. We'll all be enlightened by the truth.
Again, this doesn't sound like a political ideology as much as it sounds like a religious dogma. This is how people talk about their religions, not politics. Unless they intertwine the two, which is unfortunately reality for a lot of right-leaning Americans.
And it's going to be some type of amazing utopia. But Trump is very excited about this. He says it's time to straighten out the country. He says...
Yeah, it's a business he can make money on, theoretically. Why wouldn't he be excited? Tucker White says, unless Trump uses True Social to announce the location of Amelia Earhart and MH370, I'm not interested. Cult of Cautious Optimism says, it's so strange he thinks there are so many truthers, yet he still realizes the vast majority don't buy into it. There's no reason to think the majority would be awakened. Audis Noir says, it feels like some crazy, eschatology. Now I gotta look this up. Eschatology. There's a word I don't know. Eschatology. The part of the theology concerned with death, judgment, and the final destiny of the soul and humankind. Christian hope is concerned with eschatology, or the science last things. Okay, interesting. Eschatology.
Or Ted Bundy.
Eschatology.
He has a very
Anathema. See, I remember words once I learned them. Anathema.
very good plan. This can make people very happy. So lots of exciting things gonna happen soon. I'm super stoked.
I know the word heteronormativity.
I can't. I've never been more excited for anything in my entire life.
Splintered Dragon says, howdy everyone, long-time listener, first time joining live. Cheers, welcome. Glad you could make it.
Except for maybe like the birth of my children, or like a wedding or something like that. My wedding.
At least he puts the birth of his children above the launch of a social media site. That's good, I guess.
But this True Social thing has
yeah, he is saying maybe though, so
got me. I have never been this excited in so long. It's just, it's gonna be huge, guys. True Social is gonna be so big. So I'm very excited about it, and I think that it makes sense for you guys because Trump's very optimistic, and it's very clear to me that True Social plays a very critical role in this plan to save America, and this plan that's gonna make people very, very happy. So.
It wasn't clear to you a year ago when you were saying I shouldn't say verbatim. When you were saying, basically, that you thought that if Trump wasn't in power in 2021, America would have fallen apart. I watched that video recently just because sometimes I like to go back to Peter's earlier stuff and see how much his rhetoric has changed between last year and this year. Unfortunately, a lot of his earlier stuff from his first channel is gone because his channel got deleted, so I can't access that stuff. But I can access stuff from early in 2021. And he did a whole, like, doomsday video where he's like, if Trump isn't in power by the end of 2021, the whole country's gonna fall apart, yada, yada, yada. His tune's completely different now, of course, because 21 came and went, and, you know, the country didn't fall apart. Marcus Drake says, in my undergrad, my roommate and I were both in the religion program, and we joked that I studied how religions are born, and she studied eschatology, so she knew how the world would end. It's a cool area of study. That's fun. J.I. Lost says, you're saying you like to watch Peter? Yeah, do you guys think I hate this? I wouldn't do this if I hated it. I genuinely find people like Peter fascinating. I don't believe him, and I think he's wrong, but I find him endlessly entertaining. I find profoundly delusional people very interesting. I don't know why. I couldn't explain to you why. I don't know. But I find delusional people interesting and entertaining, and I like to dissect why their delusions are not in line with reality, and what they are doing in terms of their internal mental state to convince themselves that their delusions are real. Don't know why. It's a stare into darkness.
It's all gonna work out, guys. We have been...
Did he say it would fall apart by the end of 2021, or is it supposed to fall apart this year? By the end of 2021.
winning. We've been countering the narrative. We've been doing fantastic.
I lived with some for 18 years, yeah.
We're about to be given a huge information tool to counter narrative called True Social. That's going to give us a tremendous amount of power, the whole world a tremendous amount of power. And what's interesting to me, if you've gotten this far in this video,
you haven't been here in a while, and even though you didn't give bits, I'll read it to be nice. Daddy Sume says, "Do-woo, oo-woo, think Pitu, Izu, going to-woo, end up doing something bad. Ew is he going to-woo, end up with a wap sheet? Ew is his conviction going to-woo be overturned because of insanity." You're welcome. Astrofox with 100 bits says, "Tip for doing the furry speak for Daddy." Well, thank you.
video. So the Bible talks about the armor of God and the, you know, the helmet of salvation, and then the sword of the Spirit in the Bible. And for me, true story.
Purple Pondini with 1,000 bits says, there for reading Daddy's message. Well, thank you very much. See, it was worth it. Honest Noir says you deserve more bits for having to do that. Appreciate it.
Social is like the sword of the Spirit, because it is a sword because it is a weapon. It's an information weapon to counter the narrative. And also it's a sword of spirit because...
A social media site is the sword of the Spirit now? No one tell Bible Man. Hydrate. Adia Blue says, seconded, Daddy, please, Daddy, why? And Ran the Fool says, to woo. Daddy Sume with a clip. I swear to God, if this is a Rickroll, I swear to God. Okay, alright, it's not a Rickroll. That's better than what I thought it was going to be.
True Social will be powered by the spirit of humanity. So it is a...
What does that even mean? Oh, so what kind of servers does your social media site run on? The spirit of humanity! Well, that's probably going to get DDoS'd.
Weapon powered by the spirit of humanity. I think this is biblical. I wouldn't be surprised if the Bible, on some level, was predicting this in the future, because you know the Bible's predicted many things, and that.
Peter, what is the Bible predicted? Because if you want to have a discussion about like biblical prophecy and its fulfillment, or in my opinion, lack thereof, that's a discussion that I am always willing to have.
This sword of spirit is actually Truth Social, because once we...
Bitter Grin says, Truth Social is going to be filled with so much gay furry porn. I hope so. Renandia Owl says, honestly, that stuff never really was worth using, even with the full set bonus.
Arm ourselves with the sword of spirit, Truth Social.
Was there a video where Peter clearly farted and didn't address it, or did I just dream that? I don't remember that, and I think I would have remembered.
Now we're going to be so powerful to accomplish so much, to awaken so many people.
J.I. Lost says, so you're saying you like watching gay furry porn? Not particularly, but I would like to make Trump supporters look at it on their feeds on Truth Social.
And finally be able to talk freely about what we want.
Daddy Sume is our secret weapon, frankly, although of course Daddy Sume doesn't like gay furry porn, at least not male stuff. I would imagine Daddy Sume probably has enough ammo that he could single-handedly take down Truth Social in a day by overloading its servers with all of the pornography he has on his computer. We need you, Daddy Sume. Save the Republic with your furry porn.
Wanted to say without any censorship. So be excited, guys. I'm gonna be hopping on Truth Social.
Peter, he already went through this with Mike Lindell's site, and I think Trump's site will be much more functional, but still, why does he put his hopes up? Purple Nickel with a link. I gotta time you out! I gotta time you out for that! Them's the rules! Why do you do this? Why do you do this? You know what? That's just a warning. Maybe you didn't know. That's a warning for you. If you do it again, you're getting timed out, and if you do it a third time, you're getting banned. No Rickrolls.
And I'm going to be focusing a little bit more on Rumble and Truth Social. And I hope all you will join me over there at Truth Social, because it's going to be a big party. You're going to see a lot of videos saying a lot of stuff that I couldn't say here. And so I'm super excited.
Well, that'll be fun. Tube Man says, oh god, please no, you might convert some of them to being furries, and furry chuds are the worst than normal chuds. Nick says, am I allowed to rickroll you and call it a nickroll? No, you're not. Tea with Goblin says, on the subject of delusional people refusing to let go of dead political campaigns, all the anti-vax sovereign citizen, dead shits in Canberra got kicked out by the cops on Saturday. If you have time, here's a highly entertaining, horrifying highlights reel about 9 minutes. The QAnon brainworms have spread down under. Yes, please. Thank you very much.
Excited. Thank you for watching this. I really appreciate it. I do appreciate if you've gotten this far in the video. Any donations would really support this project. I have put in around $20,000 of my money into this project because
What? Let's go back.
Far in the video, any donations would really support this project. I have put in around $20,000 of my money into this project because I think it's very important.
Peter is claiming he has put $20,000 into this, and I want to know how did he spend $20,000? First of all, where did he get $20,000? He said to me previously he was already $60,000 in debt from getting scammed previously. So either that was a lie, or this is a lie, or both. Secondly, how in the world do you spend $20,000 on a YouTube channel with production value this low? And I don't mean to say anything, like, the picture is nice, the audio's fine, but it's not $20,000 good. Is he counting all the money he spent on weed to get high before he films? What is he spending $20,000 on? Peter, are you okay? Where are you getting this money? What are you doing? You have children to take care of. Princess Amelia says, Hannah, you know they're never going to give it up. Never going to let you down. Never going to run around and desert you. Funny. Did I hear Peter has an alt channel to this one? Here's his latest video. That's probably a Rickroll. So I'm not going to click it. Logarth says, a kidney goes for about 80K, so paid off that debt and had 20K left over. And India Owl says, maybe he's counting the money he lost on MLMs and other scams during this time. It's possible. Like, seriously, guys, he has 2.12K subscribers. So he has 2,120 something subscribers. And he's claiming he spent $20,000 on this. My YouTube channel, that's just my personal YouTube channel, has 14,900 something subscribers, and I think literally all I already had these from the previous YouTube channels, but like, all in all, let's even go expensive. The streaming setup, the computer cost, I don't want to say how much specifically the computer cost, I guess. The computer cost about $1,000, okay? As a business expense, because I need a decent rig to stream, you know, well, to Twitch. The microphone cost $100. The microphone arm cost $30 or $40. The camera cost $70. The monitor that I'm using cost $200, and this other monitor cost another $100. But that's not a necessity. I just like having a second monitor. It makes streaming easier because I can look at chat over here and still have this over here. It's easier for multitasking. How did Peter spend $20,000 when I didn't even spend $2,000? Oh, and also the lights. I have a studio light right here that kind of helps illuminate the entire area a little better. Those cost $70, and I got a set of 3 of them, even though I only use 1. The clothes cost a little bit, I guess, but I didn't have these when I first started. How did Peter spend $20,000 on this? I don't even know. Did he buy a $20,000 camera and that's why it's such high quality? I don't get it. That XY girl says, this is what you get for giving warnings, Hannah. As a high school teacher, take my wisdom. Never show mercy to the Rickrollers. Prakagam says, it's going to come out one day that Peter Hanna was just a social experiment and we've been the lab rats. That would explain the inconsistencies. Honestly, I'd be happy to be a part of that project. Overthought says, the headshots from the modeling agent at the mall cost $19,000.
To make people healthy and optimistic and excited for the future and to awaken people. So, yeah, I haven't made any profit, but really this is just a project at this point, and that's okay. And I'm okay dumping a lot of money into this.
You shouldn't be. You should be putting that away, I don't know, for your kids' education, for school supplies when they get older. Oh yeah, he's a homeschooler. He definitely doesn't want his kids to go to college. For clothes for them, I don't know. Where did you get $20,000, Peter? J.I. Lost says, I'm glad you understood in advance that we wouldn't understand what illuminate meant without the sound effect. Thank you. It was very illuminating.
Because they can take down my YouTube
yeah,
channel.
or pay your debt. When he talked to me, he said he was $60,000 in debt.
And destroy all my progress all they want, but I still have all the resources, all the tools, all the equipment, and all this experience. So when True Soldier comes out, I'm gonna build it up, my channel there, really, really big, and I'll be able to do a very good job. I am like kind of at the edge of what I can spend. I don't really have any more money right now to spend on this project. So if you do want to support this channel, you want to support True Social, you want to support my focus is going to be on health videos to help people heal.
By health videos, he means telling you to take weed and CBD because he thinks those are a panacea for everything. Bumble Homestead says, arranged marriage, he needs the money for dowry.
From all types of damages, which is going to be needed. It's needed right now. And also I'm going to be posting really, really optimistic videos like this, optimistic Trump supporter series that I'm doing. And some other exciting stuff that I can't say on YouTube. But I really would appreciate any donations, any support, because I am just running on donations right now. Thank you so much, everyone. I really appreciate it. I hope this cheers you up and makes you very excited. God bless you, and God bless America.
I seriously don't know what's going on with Peter. I hope he's lying. I don't normally wish people are lying, but for his family's sake and his own, I hope he's lying about the amount of money he's put into this, because absolutely not worth it. Ridiculous. So that's what Peter's been up to. You know, I assume he'll be back to posting semi-regularly now, at least until we get closer to the actual release of that social media site. So we'll see what happens. Let's move on.